Fox Sports.
We are the Fourth. We are so.
It's time for a brief pit stop in Atlanta. After a 7-game road trip, the Braves are back home to face the San Diego Padres in a 3-game set before they hit the road again. The Braves haven't seen the Padres since June when they were swept in San Diego. Welcome back to Atlanta, fellas, but it's going to be quick. The Braves hope to have a big series at home as they face the Padres tonight. Chamber of Commerce weather in Atlanta, Georgia tonight as a big crowd gathering at Turner Field for a brief 3-game homestand. The San Diego Padres are in town over the weekend as the Braves' magic number to clinch the East stands at 6. They hope to get into the swing of playoff things tonight as they host the Padres for Game 1. Hi again, friends, with Joe Simpson and Tom Glavine. Chip Carey at the ballpark. It's a special night for the Braves, who just took 3 out of 4 on the road from the Florida Marlins. Tonight, David Hale, an Atlanta kid, gets his first crack in the major leagues against San Diego.
Always exciting to see a new face. David Hale is a local guy. He's from Marietta, went to the Walker School, and for a guy who didn't start pitching till his senior year in high school, I think he's done pretty well for himself. He had good numbers at AAA. While his wins and losses may not reflect it, his ERA at 3.22, the best on the staff at Gwinnett this year, and was a 3rd-round pick out of Princeton. So we know, Tom, going into his first start, he's going to know how to add up balls and strikes.
No, he's got an idea. You know, he's gonna have an idea what he's doing out there, and he's going to have to rely on that intelligence out there tonight. But what a special night. That first night, something he will always remember. You try to calm those nerves and trust yourself to do the things you've done all year long in AAA to get yourself this opportunity. Going to be a little bit harder for him to do being a local kid. I'm sure he's going to have lots of friends and family here tonight, so he's going to have to try to settle that part of his mind down a little bit and go out there and try and get to making pitches as quickly as he can and go out there and have some fun.
Ian Kennedy takes the ball for the San Diego Padres. It's a 3-game homestand. The Braves have been rolling at home. They'll continue to roll toward an Eastern Division crown. Game 1, Braves and Padres, coming up right after this. Bullpen in anticipation of his first big league pitch. He'll throw it to the San Diego Padres, who are in town for their lone visit beginning tonight. Will Venable has been their best hitter. He leads off in center field, followed by Chris Denorfia in right. Jed Jerko is their second baseman. Chase Headley's the cleanup man at third base. Kyle Blanks is in left. Tommy Medica's their big first baseman. Ronnie Cedeno, the former Cub and Pirate, now the San Diego shortstop. Rene Rivera catches and hits eighth, and the Braves will look at Ian Kennedy for a third time this season. He began the year as an Arizona Diamondback.
Padres will get a look at David Hale making his major league debut tonight. You see his numbers there in AAA Gwinnett. 20 starts, 6-9 on the year with a 3.22 ERA. Pretty good walk to strikeout ratio. So go out there tonight and throw strikes.
4 keys to pitching success for 25-year-old David Hale. 6'2", 205. Number one, give him Hale, David. Why not?
Like it.
Yeah. And as Tom was talking about, trying to get out there and get over the jitters. First pitch, first batter, first inning. If he can get all that behind him, he'll be just fine.
The umpiring crew, as assigned by Major League Baseball, has Mike Muchlinski behind the plate. Tom Halyon's the first base umpire. Phil Cuzzi at second. And Chris Guccione is the ump at third. You could not pick a better night to pitch, could you, Tommy? As we were mentioning before we came on air, the wind is blowing straight in tonight.
Yeah, nice cool night, and it's blowing in about 15 miles an hour, it feels like. So that certainly will help.
So here's Will Venable. Venable leads their club in homers and RBIs, and he's hitting .271. And David Hale's first big league pitch is fouled away, and it's strike one, and that ball popped back to the umpire. That will head to the Braves dugout and head to the trophy case. An all Princeton matchup here in the first inning.
How about that?
We don't see too many former Princeton alums battling out on the baseball field, but have it right here.
94 on that pitch. That fastball away. He's also got a good slider. He might throw 97 this inning, then get back to.
I was just going to say
it'd
be interesting to see where his velocity is next inning.
We saw that with Ethan Martin of the Phillies, Georgia kid. And Venable pops it foul and out of play. Will's had a good year for San Diego. They have had all kinds of trouble scoring runs. They have had an injury-riddled season. And Venable's good work has earned him a 2-year contract extension for the Padres. And there's the slider. Hale strikes out his first big league opponent.
There is some hooting and hollering going on right below us.
Somebody's happy.
Yeah. And Chris Johnson's going to throw that ball out for him. Doesn't have the right look when the pitcher does it, so nice of Chris to do that for him.
So one out for Chris Denorfia. He's the San Diego right fielder. Denorfia at .269, 9 homers and 42 knocked in. Strike one inside corner. Just a little low.
He had a great month of July. KO was 3-2, but an .086 ERA. He only gave up 3 earned runs in 31 innings. I don't know how he lost those 2 games. Great work in the month of July.
Two balls and a strike to Chris Denorfia. Well, I think back just a few short years ago when Brian McCann was catching John Smoltz, rookie catcher. Now the roles have been reversed. It's Brian McCann, the seasoned veteran, catching a man He's one of 7 players to make his big league debut with the Braves this year. David Hale.
Well, if you're a Braves farmhand, take note of that. You're going to get an opportunity to this organization.
Knee-high strike fills up the count. Ground ball to short and out of reach of Andrelton Simmons. So Chris Denorfia has the first San Diego hit tonight, and he's aboard in front of Jed Jerko.
Good low fastball. Just put it in the right spot out of the reach of Andrelton.
Yep, try to keep it down in the zone, get the ground ball, just didn't get it in the right spot.
Jed Jerko takes a strike. Braves have been touting Evan Gattis for the Rookie of the Year. San Diego making a similar claim with their young second baseman.
He's first in extra base hits, second and third behind Evan in homers and RBIs. He's got a kind of a Gattis-like body, but he's a second baseman.
Yeah, that is not your typical second baseman's body there.
One ball, one strike. And Denorfia chased back. He's 8 for 8 in stolen bases this year, and he got back on a close play.
Jerko listed at 5'10", 210. Out of Morgantown, West Virginia.
One ball, 2 strikes. Jerko was a second-round pick by the Padres back in 2010. He's hit 18 home runs. Close play at first. Can't take too many liberties with this Braves pitching staff. They've picked off a lot of opponents. And the running game, a big part of how San Diego tries to score runs. One ball, 2 strikes. Looping fly ball into shallow right. That's going to get down for a hit. And Denorfia is on his way to third base, and he'll stand there with 1 man out. So San Diego first and third for Chase Headley.
Seeing eye ground ball and then one right off the end of the bat. And just like that, he's in some trouble.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, that's a little bit of bad luck right there. You just got to try and gather yourself, keep thinking good thoughts, and keep trying to make good pitches. And you know, first base hit, like you said, ground ball. Your objective right here, just try to get another ground ball that's hit right at somebody.
Chase Headley's hit 9 double plays this year. And a slow roller trickling down the third base line, foul. And it's strike 1. Chase Headley had a great season last year. 2013 has not been nearly as successful for him. Headley last year, 31 homers and 115 RBIs. He won the Silver Slugger and was 5th in the National League MVP voting. This year, 10 homers. And strike 2.
The fastball's getting in on these guys. They're a little late on it. Maybe a little hard for them to pick up, or might just have a little sneaky quick fastball running in on them.
I think he's a little sneaky quick. He's got a pretty simple delivery and not a lot of moving parts. And I think for the hitter, when you see that, you kind of settle into it. And then all of a sudden the ball gets on you in a hurry.
Headley swings and misses. Was it tipped and caught? Yes. McCann on the transfer dropped it, and that's out number 2.
High fastball. And yeah, Brian just dropped it, trying to get it to his throwing hand. Good call there by Mike Machlinski behind the plate.
Here's a man with a gigantic strike zone, Kyle Blanks. He's their left fielder. Blanks has a lot of power, but he has not been able to stay healthy the last couple of seasons for San Diego. This year, a bad Achilles cost him 6 weeks.
He didn't have much chance on that one. He was late and the ball was in on him. 6'6", 265 on Blanks.
Inside, 2 balls and a strike. I don't know how big or heavy a bat this guy's swinging, but it looks like a wiffle ball bat. This is a gigantic baseball player. 2-1. And that's fouled away. Hale a strike away from getting out of the first. Two on, 2 out, 2-2 count for Blanks. Swing and a miss. He struck out the side in his first big league inning. Welcome to the show, David Hale. Hale out 2 San Diego hits, but no score after a half inning, and the family's loving it.
Not sure his mom's going to be able to go 9. I don't know about David.
3 strikeouts in David Hale's first big league inning. Now let's see if Atlanta can score early for him. Schaefer, Justin, and Freeman 1, 2, and 3. Gaddis, McCann, Chris Johnson, Simmons at short, Elliott Johnson at second, and of course Hale ninth against Ian Kennedy for San Diego.
Ian Kennedy making his 8th start for the Padres. You see his numbers 3 and 1 with the Padres. Pitched pretty well. 3 and 8 with the Diamondbacks. So things weren't going so well there. So change of scenery has been good for him.
San Diego got him on July 31st for Joe Thatcher. Another pitcher and a competitive balance draft pick. It's upstairs. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
His forward keys tonight, he has to be precise. He's a guy who has a two-seamer that he can really work to both sides of the plate, lefty or righty hitter, it doesn't matter. But he typically can't get away with pitching up in the zone.
He's not afraid to do that. He's also hit 11 batters this year.
Yeah, one in particular. Zach Greinke. His fastball is 91 to 93. He'll throw a lot of cutters off his fastball to go with a changeup, good changeup and curveball. 28 years old, 6 feet 190.
Full count for Jordan Schaefer. Braves need to get some production going out of the top of their batting order. Jordan's 1 for his last 13. Justin Upton to follow. First the payoff pitch. And it's up. Schaefer walks to start the night. Here's the defense behind Kennedy tonight. A lot of new faces for San Diego. Ronnie Cedeno came over from Houston. He's their new shortstop. Medica's up from Double-A San Antonio. Padres, as you see on our Home Depot tools from the dugout, just 76 errors this season. Justin Upton at 256 now for the season. He and Kennedy were teammates with the Diamondbacks. See if that helps Justin. Jordan has a good lead. And a fly ball hit to right center field. That's playable for Venable. And Will makes the grab for the first out. Gonna hit it out tonight. May have to hit it under radar, fellas. Don't have too much air, and Venable an easy play. Here's Freeman. 98 runs batted in for Freddie. He's up to 20 homers at a .309 batting average. His 24th birthday, a big success in Miami yesterday. 3 hits, including that 20th homer.
Treated himself right on his birthday.
Schaefer's running. The pitch is strike. The throw to second is going to be late. Rivera made a strong throw, but it tailed on him, and Schaefer has his 21st steal.
Yasmani Grandal is their starting catcher, but he's hurt. Rivera is more of a backup to the backup, and despite a good catch and release, he didn't get it there in time. Good jump by Jordan.
Yeah, good jump and a good pitch to run on, and Rivera made that close.
No balls and a strike for Freddie. And back to the screen. It's 0-2. Seven hits in the last 4 games for Freeman, including yesterday's home run. And he nearly got plunked. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Kennedy is not yet precise. He's thrown 12 pitches, 6 balls, 6 strikes.
I think that's one of the things he struggles with. As much as he tries to pitch inside, doesn't seem to have very good command when he goes in there. Has trouble making that out pitch.
Two years ago, guys, when Arizona got into the postseason, played Milwaukee in the division series, this guy won 21 games. He was 21-4. I think he was in the top 3 in the Cy Young voting. 21-4 with a 2.88 ERA. Last year went 15-12.
6-9 this year. But you would think a change of scenery in his home ballpark, Petco Park in San Diego, it's pitcher's delight, isn't it? Much better than Phoenix.
It's one of the good ones, that's for sure.
Closer to home for him too.
Good battle for Freddie Freeman here. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fought off a breaking ball. This is something Freddie's been doing consistently since the opening bell of the year.
He did this yesterday off that left-handed kid, Flynn. He got a base hit to left field.
He's driving up the pitch count in the first. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Kennedy won that battle. His first strikeout of the game. 2 outs.
Got away with one upstairs too.
Here's Evan Gattis. He's red hot for Atlanta. Evan up to 19 homers and 57 RBIs. It's Evan Gattis, El Oso Blanco, night 2. Did we say that's the Bear Den or the Bear Cave? I forgot which
Cave,
it
I
was.
think.
As we look at our SunTrust shining moment.
3 of his last 7 hits have been homers. And a run scored and an RBI in each of his last 5.
So it's the Bear Cave in left. Gattis, an 0-2 count. That's fouled away. Those hats might come in handy by the time the night's through, especially with this breeze. No balls, 2 strikes. And a fly ball to center. Venable is there. And the side is retired. Jordan Schaefer walked, stole second, and he was stranded. We head to the second inning, no score.
David Hale, Braves right-hander, out here for his second inning, and we'll see how things started out. Got a strikeout to start the inning. Gave up a couple of bloop hits. First and third, one out, and what does he do? Calms those nerves, comes right back, gets a couple punch-outs, ends the inning, and Mom, Dad, and everybody else in Marietta pretty excited for him. It's a fun night for David, and a fun night for his family as well. I know that's something that, as much as I remember my first one in Houston, I know my mom and dad and brother and sister, everybody remember going down there and being a part of that just as much as I did. So it's a fun night for everybody.
It's kind of a celebration. You know, it's a culmination of a lot of work, and kid who obviously loved the game and had dreams of pitching in the big leagues. It's quite a night.
So it didn't take Evan Gaddis long to pick up a nickname down in winter ball. I can promise you David Hale will not be known as the Big Chicken, even though he's from Marietta. Not after a terrific top half of the first. Here's Tommy Medica. He's playing first base for San Diego. He's also a catcher. He's a 10th round pick out of Santa Clara University. And like David Hale, a very memorable first big league game for Medica. He hit a home run. And wait till you see against whom he hit it.
It looks like Cliff Lee.
Home run off a Cy Young Award winner. It's not a bad way to get things started.
So he and Freddie Freeman could talk about that. Freeman's first was off Roy Halladay in that ballpark. 1-2. And a little low. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
If I'm not mistaken, for good measure, he followed it up with a double off of Halladay, didn't he? Or something of one of his first couple of hits, a homer and a double. Had a double off of Halladay as well. I'll have to check my notes. I'm pretty sure.
You're so much younger. We're going to trust your memory.
Look at Tommy with the big league research. A little tapper foul at the plate.
Well, you know, I was thinking about where it dropped in the stands. Reminded me of Jordan Schaefer's first home run. He hit off Brett Myers.
Speaking of home runs, I didn't see the one Gaddis hit in Philadelphia the other night. It hit it pretty far, did he?
We'll show you.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Tommy Medica. Although I must be honest, the end result of that homer, the chick didn't dig the long ball.
No.
No.
Young lady walking along the concourse got smoked with what was.
She just didn't expect there ever to be a baseball that would come in that part of the ballpark to hit her in the leg.
486 feet away from the plate. And strike 3 call. 4 hitters retired by Hale on strikes. One away in the second.
See, I wonder what the record is.
Gretchen's check.
For a guy starting his career, how many strikeouts?
He keeps hitting that inside corner and then that outside corner like he has right there. He's going to have a whole bunch of strikeouts before the night's over.
Here's Ronnie Cedeno. Why, you ask, would the San Diego Padres have Cedeno on the roster? Well, remember Everth Cabrera? Cabrera was suspended 50 games. He's through for the season for PED use. And a fly ball to center will end the strikeout start, but it's the second out of the second inning. So, Tommy, if you missed it, here's Evan Gaddis up in Philly.
See it come down?
Yeah, barely.
Out there by that flagpole.
That's a long way. Wow.
Rene Rivera cracks one toward left. And Eloso Blanco tracks it down. 3 up, 3 down for Hale in the second. Brian McCann goes to work for the Braves in a scoreless tilt. For the Braves after a 7-game road trip wrapped up yesterday. We hit the road again for 6 games over 7 days after Sunday's series finale, and these 3 home games very important for the Braves, who, as you know, have been dominant at home. That's our Academy Sports and Outdoor leaderboard.
That run differential is pretty stout too, 120 plus 123, but hello pitching. Hello bullpen.
That's why it's so important for these guys to try and secure that home field advantage. They have been so good here at Turner Field. I'm not a big believer in baseball that it's home court or home field is such a big deal, but this year it seems to be, and certainly for these guys here.
1 ball, no strikes to catcher Brian McCann. And San Diego has a big infield shift on. Three defenders between the first base and second base bag for the Padres. One ball, 2 strikes. Ryan's in a bit of a dry spell, 1 for his last 15. And he's down swinging. Second strikeout for Kennedy, 1 out.
See the height of that last pitch, because it might have been a similar pitch that he struck out Freddie Freeman on, and typically he can't elevate his fastball, but it was something riding up.
I think that's something he's been trying to add.
A strike to Chris Johnson, who starts tonight's play, 4 points behind Michael Kadire for the National League batting average lead. Chris at .330. He had 3 hits yesterday, including 2 doubles and 2 RBIs. A tapper toward third. Hetve makes the throw across in time, and that's the second out. Here's Simmons. Ambleton at .249, 15 homers and 52 knocked in. Ambleton in the last 3 weeks over a .300 batting average. Things really feasted down at the bottom part of the Braves order. And as you see in our Wendy's Now That's Better feature, the average reflects that.
Average and the on-base percentage have both gone up. Power's about the same. RBIs are down a little bit, but that's negligible. He's really stinging the ball.
Got the extra base hit working too lately. 11 of his last 14 hits are extra base hits.
Good pitch has him behind 1 ball 2 strikes.
Well, he's tried to go in on a couple guys for strike 3 and hasn't been able to do it, but he's had success with that elevated fastball. See if he goes to that here again against Andrelton. Tried to up and away, but I think it was too far away for Andrelton to offer at it.
Off-speed pitch struck out Simmons. Second strikeout of the inning. Third in the game for Ian Kennedy. He'll bat for the Padres as we head to the 3rd inning next. All of Braves country eagerly anticipating news on Jason Hayward. And for more on that, let's check in for the first time with Elizabeth Morrow.
Chip, thank you. Well, 23 days later, Jason Hayward participated today in kind of normal baseball activities, shagging some fly balls. But most importantly, he got into the batting cage today. Well, he was there wearing that specialized batting helmet that he has with an attached guard. And, of course, he was wearing his mouth guard. He was not ready to talk to the media after, but we were told that he will talk tomorrow or Sunday. And Freddie Gonzalez said the plan forward now all comes down to really how Jason feels after this, whether or not that's to go with the team to D.C. or to go straight to instructional leave to get some live balls. But, of course, we'll keep you posted as we hear stuff about Jason Hayward. Chip?
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. I think instructional league starts Monday, so the timing for that might be just right. But I was watching him swing. He was swinging free and easy and no signs of any issues. Good start today.
Ian Kennedy is the Padres pitcher, and he's behind in the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, sure would be good if they could, no setbacks, have Jason see a week or so of big league pitching before the end of the season and really get things tuned up.
Swing and a miss. That's 5 strikeouts for Hale. With all respect to the Padres, this isn't supposed to be this easy, is it?
That's probably what he's saying to himself right now. Thinking big league hitters are terrible.
I told. I didn't tell him that before the game. But I said, just think of it as East Cobb baseball, but they're just a little bit bigger guys.
I don't know. Some of those East Cobb baseball teams I've seen, these guys aren't any bigger.
Right.
But no, I mean, that goes to the, you guys have heard me talk about it before, where you go pitch those minor league rehab games and stuff like that. You get killed because you don't know how to set anybody up. They don't know what you're trying to do. I think up here you got guys looking for pitches a little bit more. They're looking in zones a little bit more, so you got a little bit more of an opportunity to set guys up. Whereas sometimes in the minor leagues it's just see ball, hit ball.
Well, it's safe to say Hale's got a huge advantage over the Padres the first time, maybe the first 2 times through the batting order. We'll see what adjustments, if any, the Padres make now with Will Venable. He's their leadoff hitter and struck out to start the game. That one's bounced off the plate. Elliott Johnson charges with the glove, flip to first in time. That's the only way he makes that play, and it was a beauty. 2 out.
Well, one thing David Hale is doing, he's keeping the ball down. His 2-seamer is really moving, and he's got an excellent changeup working. So here's another ball. It's bounced off the plate. Got some help from Elliott, who made a fine play. But right now, David's keeping the ball down around the knees, and I'm looking. He only gave up 8 home runs this year in 114 innings in AAA. That's darn good.
Well, it's like I said, you do the things you did well in the minor leagues to give yourself this opportunity, and so far he's doing it. It's easier said than done, trust me, but you see him working both sides of the plate and working the ball down. If you can, I don't care what level you pitch at, if you do that, you're going to have success.
Changing speeds well, too.
I love the confidence he's showing in his changeup.
Denorfia picked up the first hit of the game. And this one is bounced fair down the third base line. Chris Johnson was in, thinking Denorfia might try to bunt. And Chris has a 2-out double. And there he stands for Jed Jerko.
That one didn't move.
No, kind of stayed there. And similar to the first at bat, the first hit got the ground ball, but didn't get it in the right spot. First one was a single. That one down the line for a double.
So Jed Jerko with an RBI chance for the Padres. He's knocked in 46 men, and he's down a strike, 0-1. Right on that pitch, but fouled it back. 0-2. Jerko's gotten the bulk of the playing time at second for the Padres. Logan Forsythe was someone we saw out west, and he played well against the Braves. Forsythe hitting just .213 this year. Tried the high fastball. Jerko, watch that sail high.
Good try. That sets up what he wants to do here pretty well, which is he can do pretty much anything he wants now. After that high fastball, he could go with that sinker back in on the hands, or he could try to put him away with either that slider away or even that changeup away again.
Off speed gets Jerko. That's 6 strikeouts for David Hale through 3 innings. He'll bat second in the third. Stay tuned for that. Still no score.
Baseball on Fox Sports South is being presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The right stuff, the low price every day. Joe Tom and Chip with you from Turner Field. Elliott Johnson leads things off. He's the Braves' 8th place hitter. David Hale will bat for the first time next. And then leadoff man Jordan Schaefer. Elliott Johnson has been quite a find for the Braves. He's riding a 4-game hit streak for Atlanta with 5 hits in that stretch. Elliott getting a lot of playing time with the continued struggles of Dan Uggla. And a fly ball left center. Venable will track that one down for the first out.
Anything hit in the air to center or left center is going to get just ballooned up. It's just going to hold up there for Venable to run under. Like you said, Chip, you can hit one to straightaway left low enough that it's under the roof line of the left field stands. I don't think the wind will affect it.
Nice cheer for David Hale.
Now we'll see what kind of an athlete he is.
Who'd you face in your first big league at bat?
Mike Scott.
Oh,
No chance.
Good luck.
That's how it really dawned on me that I was in the big leagues. That first fastball I took, and it was boom. I was like, oh, okay.
Did you make contact?
Honestly, I don't remember. I doubt it.
That sinker. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
David's had some at bats in the minor leagues, 4 for 32. And he was an infielder at the Walker School until his senior year when he started pitching. They may have had him start pitching for a reason, I don't know, but swing hard in case you hit it, David.
Braves looking for their first hit tonight. And Hale makes contact, but Cedeno's going to throw him out. I think he hit that ball before it hit him.
That was a little bit of a,
Get off me ball swing. A 2 out.
That was way inside. He did a good job just to get wood on it. But you can see how much Ian Kennedy can make the ball move too with his 2-seamer.
That went from one side of the plate to the other.
Jordan Schaefer walked and stole second in the opening inning. And Kennedy misses low for ball 1. ...2013, a season of promise for the Padres with Headley's big year, young pitching they put together. At one point, this Padre club was 40-40 on the season. Just 2.5 games out of first place. After the Braves left San Diego, they had a 10-game losing streak and lost 14 of 16 going into the All-Star break, and that was it.
That coupled with injuries, suspensions, etc., cut into their lineup.
One ball, 2 strikes. And Schaefer swings and misses. And this great pitching duel continues into the 4th inning. Hale and Kennedy are scoreless through 3 at Turner Field tonight. In the Eastern Division, their magic number to clinch is 6, but there is still, fellas, another race that the Braves are playing for, and we'll see that on our direct TV standings.
Dodgers pulled out another win in extra innings last night to keep pace within 2 games of the Braves. Cardinals and Pirates have dropped 3 back, but all 4 of these clubs are playing hot baseball right now. Take a look. Dodgers 3 out of 4, Cardinals 5 out of 6. The Pirates went in and swept Texas, have now won 4 in a row. Reds aren't backing off either, and have Matt Latos on the mound tonight, a former Padre.
This is Chase Headley. He swings and misses. Speaking of hot, the Nationals are hot too. They've won 6 in a row, and they're winning 3-1 over the Phillies tonight. Brian Zimmerman's hit another homer. He's some kind of hot this week for the Nationals, whom we'll see after this series.
They did scratch Steven Strasburg tonight, though, with some elbow issues, so we'll wait to see how long he's going to be out. Braves have to go up there beginning Monday. Don't know if he'll be back during that series or after.
First, the pitch to Headley, which is off the plate. The reports from the game tonight said that the Nationals are hoping he could pitch on the 19th. That would be after the Braves finish their series. And a 3-1 count now to Headley. Blanks on deck, then Medica. And a base on balls, the first big league walk issued by David Hale. And the leadoff man on for San Diego for the first time tonight.
Braves country, join us for Fan Appreciation Week at Turner Field from Monday, September the 23rd through Wednesday, September 25th. All fans in attendance for the Brewers series will receive a voucher for a free ticket to a 2014 Braves game of their choice. Visit braves.com/fans for details.
Ground ball here would be nice. Kyle Blanks is the hitter.
You see the Brewers late, and they see them early next year. First series of the year at Milwaukee.
I don't think you'd be bringing your golf clubs to Milwaukee for that trip.
Probably not. That'll be right after the Braves have their exhibition game, though, up in Rome at the end of spring training at State Mutual Stadium. Braves have done a nice job of having those exhibition games at their various minor league ballparks, and that'll be March 29th against the Braves Future Stars, against the minor leaguers in Rome, Class A affiliate at State Mutual Stadium.
That'll be fun.
1 ball, 1 strike to Kyle Blanks.
It's a nice ballpark in Rome, too.
A little low. Now a chat coming from Brian McCann.
Good trip. Maybe sense that he was trying to aim the ball a little bit.
So while that conversation continues, we'll remind you that Delta Airlines is a proud sponsor of the Atlanta Braves. Matt Coney and our fine Delta flight crew will get us up to Washington Sunday evening. Then we'll head to Chicago for a 3-game set with the Cubs next weekend, and that will wrap up the regular season road slate. Two balls and a strike.
Boy, they are burying that pitch down and in. And he's going right over the top of it.
That pitch 92 miles per hour from David Hale. 2-2.
Struck out his first time up on a couple that were even farther inside than that. might be something that is kind of similar to Giancarlo Stanton and how he likes the ball away to get his arms extended. Doesn't really want to have to deal with anything inside. Same may apply here to Blanks.
Well, Giancarlo Stanton got his arms extended tonight. He's hit a homer for Miami. They're playing the Mets at Citi Field tonight. That's Jonathan Neese pitching for New York.
Blank stands off the plate too, but he's even taller and longer armed than Stanton.
Runner goes. The throw low and not in time. So Headley steals second. And for an offensively challenged club, Joe, this is a way that Bud Black is really trying to jumpstart his offense by manufacturing runs on the base paths.
That's number 8 for Headley. But as a team, they are 3rd in the National League with a team high or team mark of 104 now.
That means an RBI chance for Blanks and a full count. So 104 steals now for the running San Diego Padres.
And their stolen base percentage very high too. Right at 77%, which is the 2nd best in the major leagues and the most swipes in the majors since 2010. Remember, Cabrera was leading the pack in that category, though. They miss his defense and they miss his speed. 37 stolen bases before he was suspended, but maybe that's why he was running kind of fast.
Another hitter fouling a ball off his back leg.
It's amazing how much of that you see nowadays.
Justin Upton did that on the road trip. And Blanks will see a 9th pitch.
It's not David Hale's first trip to Turner Field by any means, but it's his first time out on the mound at night trying to get a sign from his catcher and can't see him. He's never had this vantage point, let's just put it that way. Done a great job.
6 strikeouts, 1 walk. He scattered 3 hits. And now Blanks, another full count pitch coming. Struck him out. 1 on, 1 out. Told you about the playoff races in the National League. Let's get a Pittsburgh Pirates update. A Fox Sports 1 sports update.
Pedro Alvarez had an inside the park homer.
Who fell down?
Who collided?
A couple guys.
Wow. That's Charlie Morton pitching for Pittsburgh. Jake Arrieta pitching for the Cubs, who trying to play the role of the spoiler. Cubs took 2 out of 3 from the Reds and playing Pittsburgh tough tonight. Saw the standings. Pirates and Cardinals now tied atop the Central. So thank you, Julie. She'll keep us up to date on all the other important games, and this time of year there are a lot of them. Not just in the National League, but in the American League too, where the wild card race has gotten awfully tight.
Yes.
Tight as the National League is, and we talk about it so much, man, the American League is tighter and more teams involved.
6 teams are within 2.5 games of the wild cards in the junior circuit. Wicket breaking ball. Medica missed it by a foot. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Slow roller out to second. Elliott Johnson's got it. Runner to third, but 2 out. Just 2 flyouts for Hale. 6 make it 7 strikeouts. And now a second ground out. Now here's Cedeno. Cedeno flying to center. Cedeno was originally a Cub. He broke in 2005 with Chicago. Then went to Seattle, Pittsburgh, the Mets. Last year, 51 games with Houston. Or excuse me, this year, 51 games with Houston, where he hit .220. And he didn't like that call. It's 0-2.
Thought that one was high. I'm sure high target from Brian. Just skimmed the top of the zone up there.
That's when you see called strike 3 every now and then. You don't see it called early in the count so much. Well, you might want to be protecting on this pitch.
One ball, 2 strikes. Struck him out with an off-speed pitch. Cedeno's still griping about strike 2. No doubt about strike 3. Hale has 8 punch-outs in his first big league start. And still no score in Atlanta. Hale has struck out 8 men in his first 4 big league innings, including striking out the side in the first inning.
Now let's get some offense going. Let's start with a hit. 9 straight set down by Kennedy since the leadoff walk to Schaefer.
Justin Upton, Freddie Freeman, and Evan Gaddis go to work. And a high drive belted down the left field line. The ball is gone.
There's your offense, Joe.
Thank you.
It gives the Braves the lead. Gives Justin 25 homers on the year and snaps a big drought on RBIs for him.
His first RBI in 19 games. Last time Upton had an RBI, it was on a home run against the Cardinals in St. Louis on August 22nd. So Kennedy surrenders his 24th homer.
Changeup looked like it backed up right down the middle.
Yeah, it did. It didn't go down and in where he wanted it.
Up and in for Freeman. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Braves have now hit 167 home runs this year. Freddie dumps one down the left field line. That'll fall in for a hit. So the pressure's off. The Braves have a hit. They have a run. Now let's see if they can keep the line moving in the bottom of the 4th.
Home run by Justin. I wonder what the look was on David Hale's face.
There's your one. Go get him.
Knows he's not going to get shut out.
Gaddis pops one into right. Denorfia near the line gets there for the first out. And now Brian McCann hits. Braves have an impressive streak working against teams from the National League West. And remember, this was a streak that began after the Padres swept them out in San Diego. And there's a strike. Our Georgia Lottery hitting the jackpot shows Atlanta has a 9-game winning streak against the National League West,
which makes them 18-12 on the year against the West. 7.7 runs per game in that stretch. Wow.
I got a piece of Rene Rivera, the catcher, and McCann behind 0-2. The shift remains on for McCann. And he sends one high in the air to deep right. Denorfia back, track, wall. That one's going to fly out of here.
Classic swing from Brian of really using your hips to generate some bat speed. When he first left his bat, I was afraid he hit it too high because of the way the wind's blowing. But watch his hips open up, get the bat through, got his hands inside the baseball. That was classic Brian McCann right there. He snaps out of that little dry spell you were talking about, Chip.
His first homer since the Indians were in town. He hit one off Ubaldo Jimenez, you might remember.
Been one for his last 16. Watch his belt buckle. Watch how his hips clear. The bat is behind that turn of the hips, but the hands inside the baseball. The hips help generate some bat speed there for that. Good turn on it.
Chris Johnson, a bouncing ball to second. Jerko to his right, makes the play, 2 out. Chris 0 for 2. Here's Andrelton Simmons.
That guy's second base. You know he had some playground fights, don't you, Jerko? Because aren't you tempted, Chip, when you're calling there's a ground ball to Jerko?
Nice play, Jerko.
Just the way you say it. That poor guy, you know that he had his share of those playground issues.
Plus, as Simmons stands in and shoots one in the air towards center. Venable long run still going and gets there. In the pregame lineup sheet, they even misspelled his first name. They had him as Jeff, not Jed. He's a good player. Braves have a couple good players swinging the bats tonight. Justin Upton goes deep to left. Brian McCann goes deep to right with a 2-run shot. And David Hale, in his big league debut, now has a 3-run lead as we go to the 5th. Padres. Justin Upton went deep for the first Atlanta hit. Brian McCann's 2-run homer to right, the third hit, and second and third RBIs. So now David Hale can really go to work, and Tommy, he's already done that with 8 strikeouts in his first 4 innings.
Yeah, now let's keep doing what you're doing. Don't let the 3-run lead affect anything. Just keep getting after these guys and staying down in the strike zone.
Gretchen Caney's working hard down in the truck to try to find the answer to a couple of different things. One, what's the Braves record for strikeouts in a pitcher's debut game? And when's the last time that pitcher struck out the side in his very first inning in the big leagues? Rivera skies it foul, and Hale's got him set up 2-2.
I don't remember how many guys Kyle Davies struck out, but I remember his debut in Boston in interleague play on a real cold, raw, rainy day. The Braves had a real bad road trip working. They went from Colorado to Boston to finish it up, and he really pitched a great game in his debut there.
Fly foul down the right field line. Rivera stays alive.
Trial tells me that Davies had 6 strikeouts in that game.
And I almost didn't want to mention that because that has all the makings of a torturous trivia question tonight, doesn't it?
I don't even know what the question is, but I think the answer will be McKay McBride.
It's as good as any, right? 2 balls, 2 strikes. Sharply hit to short. Simmons gobbles it up. And the man that should win the Gold Glove in the National League this year makes the play for out number 1.
See, he's gotten a lot of these strikeouts a lot of different ways. That slider on the first one, the elevated fastball, that sinker that just keeps boring in on the right-handed hitters. Backdoor sinker, change-up, another sinker, another change-up. I mean, he's used all his pitches, different locations, and been fun to watch.
Well, he's already got 1 out here in the 5th inning, and Roger McDowell said they would be ecstatic if they got 5 innings out of him. I think he's going to be okay.
I think so.
Beyond 5.
That's hammered down the right field line, foul. No balls, 2 strikes.
Talked to Paul Maholm before the game, and this was his game that he was scratched from that David's pitching. And the good news on Paul was that structurally his elbow is fine. He's going to work as if he will start in Chicago, make a start in Chicago and prepare for that.
Strike 3. Kennedy is number 9.
Man.
He's thrown maybe 5 pitches above the belt buckle in this game, it seems.
And I think 3 of those were on purpose.
And I think they were all to Headley. Could have been. Did his dad just say, "Who is this guy?"
Will Venable's the hitter.
Mark Grant, former Brave, who does broadcasting work for the Padres, came over after the 3rd inning and said, "When did you guys get Tom Seaver?"
Going outside to Venable, 2-0.
It's easy to say right now because of the way he's pitching here in the 5th inning, but I met David for the first time this winter on the Caravan, and he struck me then as a guy who was very focused.
That one ricochets off Elliott Johnson. He's upset about it. And Venable's aboard with 2 out.
He wasn't uncomfortable or intimidated around a lot of other major league coaches and players who were on the Caravan on that stop. He fit right in and was very confident about what he was going to do this year. So he made a big impression on me before even spring training started.
In case you wondered what his degree was at Princeton, it's in operations, research, and financial engineering. When he's asked to describe his major, Hale said it's basically an econ major except with an engineering background. But there's a funnier part to the story. As that ball got away from McCann and taking 90 feet is Venable, he'll be at second base with 2 outs. Hale said his scholastic department sold T-shirts with the words Operations, Research, and Financial Engineering on the front of the shirt. On the back, the shirt said, "Don't ask what it means because even I don't know." So, if it weren't for baseball, Hale would be working on Wall Street.
About that note on Kenshin Kawakami having the previous record for a quote-unquote rookie making his. He was making his major league debut.
Right.
Just that he had about 5 years in the Japanese big leagues.
2-0 count with 2 outs. And strike called.
Venable advanced on what was ruled a pass ball.
Second chance for Elliott Johnson. He won't waste it. And the inning is over.
In all his starts at Gwinnett this year, he never struck out more than 6. Quite a night.
9 strikeouts through 5 innings. He's due second in the Braves' 5th. Hits. Will he continue in the bottom of this inning? He's due to hit second.
Well, there's his manager who may be telling you the answer to that, since he's due up second. And Jose Constanza out on deck. If this is the end of the night for him, what a debut.
Elliott Johnson is out number 1. So Costanza will pinch hit. David Hale, 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, and count them 9 strikeouts. A Braves record for a debut performance for the youngster out of Marietta.
Well, he's either going to sleep real good tonight or he's going to be up all night.
So Jose Constanza bats.
Speaking of that, though, Tom, I mean, if you had a big game like this, where you really were pumped up, adrenaline flowing, did it take you a while, seriously, to kind of come down and quit replaying the game in your head all night?
It more so if it was a bad result than a good result.
Really?
Yeah, because I know for me, I didn't pitch good the night before. I didn't sleep good the night before I pitched, and I was antsy all day. So you have all that nervous energy going. So if you had a good game, you're just kind of exhausted.
Another roller back to the mound. That's the second out.
I think if you have a bad game, at least for me anyway, those are the ones that I tended to replay in my head a little bit more.
How you could have fixed it, or
yeah,
what I should have done.
Yep.
Yeah.
So 2 are out. We go back to the top of the order, and now Luis Ayala has begun to warm in the bullpen. Schaefer's walked and has struck out. Homers by Justin Upton and Brian McCann have the Braves in front 3-0 in the 5th. gets up and away. In the heady days of September, it's always fun to see young players come up from the minor leagues. What's also fun is to talk to the big league scouts that are following the Braves this time of year. Can't wait to hear what they thought of Hale's performance tonight.
Well, he's moved up the ladder really quick. I mean, not blazing through this after he was a third-round pick, but I mean steady progression. The last 4 seasons, and really came into his own last year in Double-A at Mississippi, going 8-4. But still, Tommy, I mean, 6-9 this year. Best ERA on the team at Gwinnett in 3.22. Outstanding ERA there.
Yeah, I mean, it's less about the winning and losing in the minor leagues. You know, that ERA, very indicative of having a solid season and going out there. And, you know, like you said, the last 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, I looked at his numbers. I think last year was really the first year that he's primarily focused on starting.
Right.
So when you see that kind of progression from last year and then this year, you know, that's what you want. You want to see that consistency.
Schaefer takes another walk. Kennedy lost him. Second time Jordan has walked in the game, and he's aboard with 2 outs.
Well, speaking of consistency, the consistency in which the Braves minor league player development department consistently sends up pitchers that have polish, that are ready to pitch at this level, continue to amaze me. Dave Wallace is now the minor league pitching coordinator. There are guys like Marty Reed at AAA. You got Dennis Llewellyn at Mississippi. Derek Botello is at Lynchburg. I can go through the whole minor league staff, but all up and down there are good pitching instructors that are helping these guys get ready to pitch at this level. Tip of the cap to them.
Yeah, I mean, I've felt that way for a while now, that with a lot of these guys, you know, Minor and David Hale tonight, I mean, a lot of these guys that come up here, you know, you look back at where you were at that stage in your career. These guys are a heck of a lot more polished than I was when I stepped out on that mound for the first time.
Really?
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
And you made a great point several times, Tommy, that the expectation level for these guys is so much different than when it was for you and John Smoltz and company when he came up.
Yeah, I mean, winning was not the priority. We just had to make progress. We had to get better. We had to show from start to start that we were learning, and from season to season we were getting better. You know, that's a heck of a lot different than, hey, we've got a tradition of winning, go win.
The throw to second is going to be in plenty of time to get Jordan Schaefer. Rene Rivera's got a strong arm, and he showed it off. Schaefer's thrown out, and the Braves are done in the 5th inning. David Hale's in line to win his first big league game, but the Braves bullpen's in play with 4 innings left. Hail, fire, and brimstone for the Braves in Game 1 of the weekend. You'll see that on our Crown Royal game summary tonight.
He's stealing all the thunder from the guys who produced the thunder. The 2 homers to give him the lead. But David Hale, very impressive outing. His first shot in the big leagues.
So it's 5 and out for David, allowing 4 hits, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. And the first AT&T call to the bullpen is answered by veteran right-hander Luis Ayala, who's starting to pitch more and more effective and important innings for the Braves.
Had a great outing the other night down in Miami when he struck out Stanton with some guys on base to get out of a big jam. He was in 2 games down there, an inning and a third, 1 hit, no runs, 2 strikeouts.
So Jed Jerko swings and misses, strike 1. So Hale's 9 strikeouts, the most by a Brave starter making his major league debut. That's since 1920. The major league record is 15. Carl Spooner did that in 1954. J.R. Richard also had 15. He struck out 15 Giants for the Astros. Steven Strasburg struck out 14 Pirates in his first big league game. A liner foul by Jerko, 0-2.
I'll bet none of them did it in 5 innings.
Yeah, I don't know that. Bet you're right, though.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're right there as well.
Jerko has singled and struck out. And he's going to ground out if Chris can make a good throw. He did. 1 down. Trivia time. Our AT&T Uverse trivia question from Atlanta.
We've been doing pretty good, Tom.
Have you?
Yeah, we've been holding our own.
Freddie Freeman's got 20 homers, 98 RBIs. Named the last Brave with a 20-homer, 100 RBI season.
So this one's pretty much up to you.
Oh, okay. All right, well, let me get to thinking.
Here's Chase Headley. No, you can't ask Siri either.
No, I don't have her. So,
speaking of 20 homers, this is Brian McCann's 8th full season in the big leagues, and he's hit 20 or more homers 7 times. And the one year he didn't hit 20, he hit 18. That's pretty consistent.
Missed first 5-6 weeks of the season coming back from the shoulder.
Right.
So he's proven that's healthy. And a ground ball by Headley to first. Easy play for Freeman. Ayala doing his thing, getting the ball on the ground. 2 outs.
Time for Georgia Power Energy Tip number 13. Jose Constanza. With Georgia Power's Home Energy Improvement Program, customers can get up to a $300 rebate for making qualifying attic insulation upgrades. To learn more, go to georgiapower.com/home improvements.
Here's Kyle Blanks. Mentioned the Achilles problems that Blanks has had to deal with. I think he had Tommy John surgery too. Yep, that was in 2010.
Right.
Hear about pitchers having that surgery. Not often you hear about position players. Not only did Kyle Blanks have the right elbow fixed, he had to have his left shoulder fixed last year. He had surgery on April 24th. Managed to play in only 4 games for San Diego last year.
Kelly Johnson had to have Tommy John surgery when he was with Atlanta. He's having a good year for Tampa Bay.
The Rays are winning tonight 2-0 in Minnesota. Tampa Bay's in a dogfight, trying to hold off the Yankees, the Indians, the Orioles, and the Royals for the wild card. They had a shot at the Red Sox. Remember, Tampa Bay about a month ago led the AL East, but the Red Sox have been roasting hot. Boston 8.5 games in front for the Eastern Division title. So their magic number has to be dwindling very, very quickly. Another ground ball. Simmons deep short, blanks a big man, doesn't run well, and Freeman the scoop makes the play. 3 up, 3 down. Atlanta 3, San Diego nothing. Here's your on deck trio presented by Delta. Sixth inning. The big story tonight, the debut of rookie David Hale.
Grandparents, parents, brother, sister, broadcasters, teammates, coaches, all enjoying this one.
And especially David's family, and they're sitting by with Elizabeth.
Thank you. I am in the middle of, I think, half of Marietta. We have Mom and Dad right here with me, David and Mary. And David, when I walked up to you, I had some tears in your eyes. This is a pretty big moment.
Oh, absolutely. This is a dream come true beyond any of our wildest imaginations. I can't tell you.
Mom, a little nervous?
Very nervous. Yes, very nervous.
How do you think he did, though?
He did awesome. He did better than we ever thought he was going to do.
All right, so Dad, growing up with him and you going through all the emotions and then him getting the call and now him being here, it being so close to home, how exciting is this?
I'm telling you, the kid's always had a passion for the game since he was a little boy. I can't tell you how many times he would just beg me to go out and play catch with him, and, it's paid off.
All right, your facial expression when I told you that he broke or set the franchise record in an MLB debut with 9 strikeouts. 87 pitches, 4 hits, 1 walk.
Beyond imagination. I mean, I've always been a fan of baseball and cared about the stats, looked at the stats, and something like that is just too much to fathom.
All right, well, Chip, they took up row 1 through 109, which is pretty impressive. I think I'm going to stay out here and hang with them for a while.
I don't blame you. What a thrilling night for the Hales as Justin Upton scorches one up the middle. He's got a 2-hit game tonight. And the Braves have evened the Padres in the hit column 4 apiece and lead where it counts 3-0.
It's so fun to see this and see how much it means to the families and the reaction. I mean, because of so many Georgia kids who the Braves scout, sign, and develop, you don't have to go back that far for McCann and Francoeur when they were making their debuts and their families were here and going crazy with their good results. Jason Hayward's homer, his first at bat, his family. All that stuff is textbook.
We could have a highlight reel of our family interviews just from this year alone. Evan Gattis hits the home run with his dad watching. Then Alex Wood's mom is here and in tears when he got his first major league inning. And then David Hale, out of nowhere, sets the Braves franchise record for strikeouts for a youngster pitching in his first big league game.
Well, remember the first call to him was that we're not going to call you up. Just calling you to let you know that you're not coming up. And called him back the next day and said, get your stuff.
Just kidding.
Yeah, come on, we need you.
2 balls, no strikes. And now Freeman, a shot in the right field. That's going to get down in front of Denorfia. And good base running by Justin Upton. He's at second with nobody out. And the third time through the order for Atlanta, starting to pay dividends versus Ian Kennedy.
These are the guys that did the damage second time through the order in the 4th inning with the homer and the double that got things going. Good to see Justin on some pitches. Boy, the home run, you know, with the wind blowing, weren't sure if it would be enough to get out of here, but it certainly was. But that line shot kind of right center to the right of the second base bag, that's a great sign for him.
So here is Evan Gattis. Evan has flied out twice. Big breaking ball caught a corner. One and one. Dale Thayer is up in the Padres pen. 78 pitches for Ian Kennedy, but 2 on, nobody out here in the 6th. But Black's club has not scored many runs. And his starter in some trouble and will be visited by Rene Rivera. While they chat, we'll update you on the Nationals. That's 6-1 Washington. They lead the Phillies. Atlanta's magic number is at 6. 15 games left on the schedule after tonight. Braves win tonight, their magic number will go to 5. Which means the earliest they could clinch would be game 1 in Washington if the Nationals win tonight.
I don't know if during the wintertime David Hale's name came up at all in any kind of trades, you know, as a compliment to a trade or whatever. But there are a ton of scouts here tonight, and there are a lot of notes being made about the way he pitched tonight. And I promise you, if any discussions are held this winter, his name will come up from the teams that these men represent tonight.
That's why I can't wait to talk to those guys tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know if David will get another start or not the rest of the way, but he made a big impression on a lot of people tonight. Trust me.
He will be on a lot of radar screens after tonight for sure.
And reading some of the notes before the ball game, there's a chance the Braves, counting tonight, are going to have 7 different guys start the next 7 games. You mentioned Paul Maholm coming back. Alex Wood figures to be in that equation, as Gattis is down on an off-speed pitch and is out number 1. Back we've got Medlin and Tehran, the final 2 games of this series. Minor, Garcia, and then Wednesday's starter to be determined. Off day Thursday next week, and then the Cubs series, and Maholm somewhere against Chicago. Right?
I think what Paul was telling me, if I understood him correctly, would be like he pitched tonight. So he would go through his normal routine in preparation for a start 5 days from now, which would fall on the off day. So instead of the off day, he might pitch Friday in Chicago.
So the start by Freddie Garcia yesterday, the start by Hale tonight, has really allowed the Braves to manipulate their starting rotation, get guys rest, Garcia got a win yesterday. Hale could win tonight. Then over the final 2 weeks, it's go time. Right, Tommy?
Yeah, I think that's something they're going to have to figure out here. You know, as much as you want to maybe give guys rest, or you know, Mulholland's case, maybe a little nagging injury, you want to try and help him get over the hump. You know, those last couple 3 starts, I think you really need to identify who your 4 guys are and get them back in their routine, kind of get them back focused on doing things a certain way in a lead up to the postseason.
Line back to the mound. McCann almost took off Kennedy's head, but Ian stuck the glove out, made a marvelous catch, and lived to tell the tale. He starts a double play, and that ends the 6th inning. Wow, look at this. That'll wake you up. Tough break for McCann. Great break for Kennedy. 3-0 Atlanta. Flyaway is back. Grab your phone and text Delta to South. That's Delta to 76884 for your chance to win round trip airfare for 2 any place Delta flies in the continental U.S. plus hotel accommodations and $250 spending cash. We'll announce the winner this Monday, September 16th, during our Braves telecast. Message and data rates may apply. Entrants may get 1 text message confirming entry, and the winner may be contacted via text message. Mr. Kennedy was awfully lucky a moment ago.
Yeah, there's not too many times you're somewhat thankful to see the hitter on your team hit into a tough out or a bad break. But I think in this case, I think that's one that we're all happy that found the glove, because that might have been bad. That was more self-defense, I think, than anything else.
So McCann hit it right on the button, but he's doubled up. And now we head to the 7th with Tommy Medica leading off. He's 0 for 2.
He's a right-handed pitcher too, so he had to go across his body with his glove to get it up there in time to save his bacon. Got some numbers for you on Medica. Speaking of young players just getting here, this guy was not a high draft pick, 14th round pick out of Santa Clara University, as you said earlier, Chip. But last year at Lake Elsinore, he was in 93 games, played 93 games at Class A, hit .330, 19 homers, 87 RBIs in 93 games. That's pretty good. That'll get some attention.
Yeah, that's getting it done. Almost an RBI a game.
They need offense badly in San Diego. There's the 1-2 pitch. That's inside. I mentioned that 14 of 16 losing run by the Padres before the All-Star break. During that stretch, they scored 3 runs or fewer 11 times in 16 games. Their ballpark certainly doesn't help. It's, as we said earlier, a great pitcher's park. But when you have a down year from Chase Headley, when you lose Quentin, as Medica singles to start the inning, you lose Grandal, you lose Alonso, you lose Cabrera to suspension. You're going to play a lot of youngsters who are going to struggle up here, and at times the Padres have. Down tonight 3-0 with Ronnie Cedeno up. Cedeno is 0 for 2. Action begins in the Braves bullpen, with the bottom part of the Padres order lurking here. And speaking of the bullpen, it was hoped tonight that Scott Downs might be able to pitch.
I believe he is, and they've gotten a sleeve, kind of a protective device that finally is comfortable for him to put his hand in the glove that will protect the tip of his finger, but he still has to wrap that.
Cedeno goes the other way and bloops one into right field. And San Diego plays it station to station, 2 on and nobody out.
Pitchers are not allowed to have anything on their hands, right, Tom?
No, not supposed to.
But watch this. Before the game, Freddie Gonzalez got Tom Hallion's attention, the crew chief. We didn't know what this was about. But here's Scott Downs, and Scott then walked with Tom Hallion down into the tunnel to show him how they were wrapping his ring finger with just some tape that would be inside whatever he's got inside his glove to make sure that it was all okay and legal for him to pitch with.
Well, I think there's a little bit more leeway, obviously, with it being his glove hand. You know, a lot less leeway on the pitching hand, but you know, smart move. Call him in, show him what you're doing, and remove any doubt before you get out on the mound and somebody sees something, and then you have problems.
Yeah, in the old days, somebody could tape a thumbtack in there, a piece of sandpaper.
Luis Avila on the first lefty up, however.
And that's because Mark Kotze's grabbed the bat and is in the on-deck circle. Mark, a former Brave. Here's Rivera. Renee's hit the ball hard twice, but he's 0 for 2. He had a good year at AAA. He was a AAA All-Star. He hit .343 at Tucson. He's no kid. He's 30 years old. He's been in the big leagues before. Briefly with Seattle.
Luis has not been asked to pitch multiple innings too often since he joined the Braves.
Foul at third.
But even though he's given up a couple of hits here, he's the guy most likely to get a ground ball and a double play to shorten the inning.
Boxberger and Vincent up in the San Diego pen. Rene Rivera, the catcher. 2 on, nobody out. He also played 45 games with the Twins back in 2011. Line drive into right field. That's in for a hit. And Upton bobbles the ball, but no advance. San Diego has loaded the bases with 3 straight singles in the 7th inning. And with nobody out, Mark Kotze will grab a bat and pinch hit for Kennedy.
Freddie waiting to make sure Kotze's been announced.
And Kotze is announced. And Avilan will get the summons from the Braves bullpen. Ayala got San Diego 1-2-3 in the 6th. They got him 1-2-3 in the 7th with 3 straight hits. 3-0 Atlanta. The lead in jeopardy. We'll return for the 7th in a moment.
to Ubers, by Delta Airlines, and by Ford.
Hey fans, Charlotte Motor Speedway invites you to the Bank of America 500 on October the 12th. Get your tickets now by calling 1-877-323-0803 or going to www.charlottemotorspeedway.com/Fox Sports. That's 1-877-323-0803 or www.charlottemotorspeedway.com/Fox Sports.
It won't be Mark Kotsay, but it will be Jesus Guzman. Kotsay was announced. And with the left-hander Luis Avilan on the hill. But Black goes with the right hand hitting Guzman here. Nobody out. And ball one.
Kotsay has the most pinch hit at bats for the Padres this year, but Guzman is second, 10 for 46 with 3 pinch hit homers.
He's done a good job with runners in scoring position, hitting .283 this year. And there's no place to put him. Ball two.
Luis was in 2 games at Philadelphia and 2 games at Miami, although his last appearance against Miami on the 10th, the only batter he faced, he hit him. Christian Yelich, that's the only guy he faced, so he's should be well rested.
Bell-tie strike. Guzman not too sure. Medica, Cedeno, and Rivera, the Padres base runners. Two and two now. A strikeout would be nice. Did he go?
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Oh. No, he didn't swing. Tom Hallion says ball three.
Oh, that was a big strikeout looming right there. Like he stopped it.
Bouncing ball. Simmons saved a run. But one comes in on an infield pinch hit single by Jesus Guzman. It's 3-1 now. That's one of those defensive run saved types of play. No out, but Simmons kept it on the infield and keeps the bases loaded. Now a lefty-lefty matchup. The top home run hitting and top RBI producing Padre, Will Venable, who takes a strike. Now he grumbles. Venable 1 for 3. That hit in the 5th inning. Also an infield safety.
All the complaints have been about high strike calls tonight.
A look back at that ball call. 1-1 the count.
Well, Venable's having a good year. It's no news to the Braves. He's always played well against them. His career numbers .296 against Atlanta with 6 homers. He was a basketball and baseball star at Princeton.
One ball, two strikes. And that's bounced into the seats. We'll do it again.
The head coach at Princeton now is Scott Bradley, who was a major league catcher for several years with the Yankees, White Sox, and then mostly with the Mariners. He caught Randy Johnson's no-hitter in Seattle, and he's doing a great job of finding student athletes and really improving their game to getting them and giving them a chance to play some pro ball.
Venable putting up a good fight here in the 7th.
That looked like real inside, like not even close to being a strike. Almost in self-defense. Goodness.
Tough break. And holds on to that. Venable's out. Tapped to the mound. They're coming home for one. Big out. Nice play by Luis to force Cedeno at the plate. Bases loaded, one out now for Denorfia. And Freddie Gonzalez quickly on his way to the mound.
That's a good play, wasn't it, Tommy, for him to take his time, get set before he made the throw?
Yeah, very good. That's a lot of times in that play right there. You feel the ball, then you get in a hurry to make the throw, but he didn't. He took his time, set himself. Knew he wasn't going to get two, so you got to make sure of the one.
So one run is in for San Diego, but Avilan gets a big first out. The double play still in order for Atlanta, and they'll summon David Carpenter from the bullpen next.
Lottery by the Home Depot and by Toyota.
Base is still loaded for San Diego, but now there's one out. And it's David Carpenter's turn to pitch. And he's got Chris Denorfia coming up. Already 2 for 3 as the San Diego right fielder.
David worked an inning last night, gave up a hit, but struck out 2. Had a couple of days rest and was airing it out. He had a good fastball last night.
One ball, no strikes. Fly ball, well hit right field. That's playable. Upton makes the catch. The throw will come back in towards second, and it's a sac fly for Denorfia. That cuts the lead to 3-2 now as Rivera scores. The other runners hold for San Diego. And Denorfia's 43rd RBI makes it a one-run game.
Smart play there by Justin. He was not going to have a play at the plate. And if the runner was going to try to advance from second to third, they might have a shot at him. Put himself in a good throwing position.
So here's a panel of West Virginia. Both David Carpenter and Judd Jerko are from Morgantown. And a swinging strike as Jerko behind. David's 3 years older than Jed. Born in 1985. Jerko in 1988. Now it's 0-2. Big spot for Carpenter. 2 on, 2 out, 2 in for the Padres. An 0-2 pitch. Is off the plate. Chase Headley is the Padres cleanup man. He waits next. Rolled towards Simmons at short, and he'll flip to second in time, and it's a happy West Virginia day for David Carpenter. He gets a fly out to right and a ground ball to short, and he sends the game to the 7th inning stretch with the Braves lead now at 1. It's a 3-2 score at Turner Field.
Those 3 runs courtesy of Justin Upton and Brian McCann home runs. David Hale, heck of a debut for him. Chris Denorfia, a couple hits for the Padres, but here's the damage for the Braves. Justin Upton hanging changeup. Drove a ball down the left field line for a solo home run. Gave the Braves a 1-0 lead. And then Brian McCann got a pitch he could handle. Drove it into the right field bleachers for a 2-run home run. Gave the Braves a 3-0 lead at the time. And Padres snuck a couple on the board in the top of the 7th inning, get us to 3-2 where we are now, going to the bottom of the 7th.
And Nick Vincent will come on and pitch for San Diego. He relieves Ian Kennedy, his final line tonight. 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and those 2 homers Tommy just mentioned. Nick Vincent gave up a run in his last outing against the Phillies. And he took the loss in that game.
Season numbers: 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. A lot of cutters from this guy. Low 90s fastball, a lot of cutters, and a changeup.
And look at Chris. Oh, he has been so good at that all year long.
He's had a magic wand working there.
So no luck for Chris, who's hitting .329 at the moment. He's grounded out to third and second. And he just struck out. 3-pitch at bat retires Chris Johnson. 1 man down in Atlanta. Braves 2013 postseason tickets are on sale now. Don't miss your chance to see the Braves make their playoff run this October at Turner Field. Those tickets available now. Visit Braves.com/postseason today to get yours. All the damage offensively for Atlanta has been from the 2nd through the 5th spot in the batting order. Johnson, Simmons, and Elliott Johnson are a combined 0 for 7 tonight. The Braves had that long 14-game winning streak. Boy, the offense from 1 through 9, and I mean 9, pitcher 2. Everybody was getting on and everybody was chasing everybody else home. That's not the case right now. Come on, 3 runs enough for the lead so far in this game. And a 1-2 pitch for Andrelton Simmons. Cubs beating the Pirates 5-4 in the 8th. Washington winning 6-1 in the 8th. Popped up. That's headed for the Braves dugout. It's out of play. We mentioned earlier, Joe, the best record races, the divisional races. The Cardinals have a tough series starting tonight. They got Seattle in town. And the Mariners have a 6th inning lead of 1-0 at Busch Stadium.
Well, you got the big Kuma on the mound tonight for the Mariners. Iwakuma.
I don't know if the Cardinals have anybody that's seen anybody on that Mariner starting role for that series. See if the Mariners can take advantage of that. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
The thing for Washington, 6 runs tonight, they had a bunch of those early, is their offense is rolling. Not just Zimmerman, who hit another homer tonight, but Worth has been red hot. Ramos has been hot. They got Bryce Harper back, who had missed some games.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Vincent. The question I guess the Nationals have is it going to be too little too late? Can they sneak in as a wild card? It would be highly unlikely that they'll catch the Braves. I'm not saying it can't happen, but probably won't. Is there enough time left, Tommy, in your estimation, for Washington to sneak in the wild card?
Well, I mean, I think logically you would say probably not. But I think if there's anything that the last few years has proven to us, it is possible, because you've seen a number of teams, the Cardinals most recently, that, you know, late in the season, nobody really gives them much of a chance. But next thing you know, they have a heck of a September and they get themselves a chance.
Won 17 of their last 23 have the Nationals, and they start play tonight 5.5 behind the Reds, who are losing in Milwaukee.
Well, the good thing for them, for Washington, is that they've only got to climb over one team. It's not like they've got to pass 2 or 3 clubs to get there.
And I can promise you this, nobody wants to play Washington if they get in, because Gio, Zimmerman, Strasburg. And as Joe said, the way their offense is rolling, they are peaking at the right time in Washington, and we'll see them starting Monday night.
You know, I know 6.5 or 6 sounds like a lot, and if they cut it to 5 tonight, I mean, man, you get it to 4, 3 with a couple weeks left in the season. There's some pressure there.
I don't know their schedule after the Braves. We'll have to look at that and compare it to the Reds. I don't know if there's an advantage for either one of those clubs. As that is a called 3rd strike, and Elliott Johnson and the Braves are retired. 3 up, 3 down. Impressive inning for Vincent. 3 strikeouts, and we go to the 8th. Sports and outdoors, the right stuff, the low price every day. Good ball game. Braves and Padres. Atlanta trying to avenge a 3-game sweep suffered on the road at Petco Park, a ballpark name fraught with broadcasting danger. There's our Delta Airlines crew, anchored by Mac Coney. I think Mac's in that shot.
Yes, he is. Right there. There's old Mac. Kathy to his right, Cheryl to his left. Barb down there in the front row, our flight attendants from Delta, some of the crew. Enjoying a night at the ball game.
And they really do spoil us. It is, I mean, we all know we have great jobs, and I don't want to sound like we're complaining. Worst part of the job is the travel, but for us, the best part of the job is traveling with those folks.
Yeah, we should be over there serving them tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, you do get spoiled traveling with those guys, that's for sure.
So we got some research done on the remaining schedules. The Reds have the Brewers, Astros, Pirates twice, and the Mets once. Washington has the Phillies, Braves, Marlins, and then on the road in St. Louis and Arizona to finish the year. First glance, I would say the Reds have the easier finish.
With the exception of those 2 series with the Pirates.
Chase Headley on the very first pitch has homered off Jordan Walden. And the game is tied 3-3. So David Hale can't win it tonight. Headley's 11th home run.
Fastball at the knees, inner third. No doubt about it.
So a 3-3 game, and Kyle Blank's the hitter, and he was fooled. Strike one. Well, a down year for Headley, but a big hit in the 8th.
Jordan's return last night down in Miami. The first game he'd pitched in 19. He'd missed 19 games. First game since August 21st. Worked an inning, gave up a hit, got a double play. Only faced 3 batters, but gave up a long one there.
Interesting note on Headley: 11 home runs for their cleanup man. You know how many of his home runs have been solo? 10 of the 11.
Is that right?
That's not good.
No.
But that one, a big blow to tie the game. Blank's 0 for 3. And outside, 3 balls and a strike. Rare trouble for the Braves bullpen tonight. All 3 Padres runs have come against the Atlanta Relief Corps. Now Blanks breaks his bat, flies to left. Gaddis in a couple of steps. He's got it, 1 out. Here's Medica. Big series down in Texas tonight. Oakland's opened up a 3-gamer with the Rangers, and they're pummeling Texas. That's 8-2 Oakland.
Yeah, Oakland's got some pitching.
They started play 3.5 ahead of Texas. Texas was the odds-on favorite, I guess, along with the Angels at the start of the year to lead out west. Oakland spoiled the party so far.
They seem to find a way every year to be in the hunt somehow, some way.
Angels a disappointing year, trying to rally and finish at 500 or better. They're 6 under. Did Medica go? He did not. 2 balls, no strikes.
He had a wild rip at that high fastball. Did not get cheated, but could not catch up.
Three balls and a strike. That's Ronnie Cedeno, the shortstop. He's next. Ball 4, a homer, a fly out, now a walk from Jordan Walden, and the go-ahead runs aboard in the 8th. Trivia time. Let's head back to our AT&T Uverse trivia question tonight. And tonight's question was: Freddie Freeman has 20 homers and 98 RBIs. Name the last Brave with a 20-homer, 100 RBI season.
I'm going to say Chipper.
I was going to say Chipper seems way too logical. Mac could be a possibility, but I don't know. I'm going for some reason Ugla. I know he had 20-plus homers. I don't know if he had 100 RBIs, but that's who I'm going with.
Didn't Jeff Francoeur have a 27-homer, 100-something RBI year for the Braves, his first full season?
I thought he fell just short, but I don't remember.
I'm going to say Jeff Francoeur for one of them, so we'll make it a collaborative effort. So you're going with Ugla? Joe, you're going with Chipper?
Yep.
So Francoeur, Ugla, Chipper. Any combination is acceptable. Chipper Jones, 29 and 102 in 2007, the latest. Runner goes. Cedeno fouls one away. It's 0-2.
Chipper, if you're watching tonight, I just want you to remember that I'm the guy that remembered you.
I remember him. I just thought it seemed too obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, that's not like Gretchen to be that obvious. Just saying.
She might have thought it was so obvious that nobody would pick him.
Exactly.
Didn't sneak it by me.
Worked on me.
Living rent free in her head tonight as that one bounces away from McCann. And moving up 90 feet on a wild pitch is Medica. And now a hit could put San Diego in front.
Well, things went smoothly for Jordan last night when he got the double play, but it's obvious that he's a little rusty. Needs a little work.
Look back in this game. How big is McCann's line drive double play looking? Braves had first and second, one out in that sixth. As a shot's hit to right field, Upton is there, and he's got it for the second out. Remember, if Brian McCann's shot made it through to center field, you figure Upton would have had a great chance to score the fourth Atlanta run. Instead, it was a double play, and Braves don't have a hit since.
Well, all the Braves offense has been condensed between Upton, Freeman, and McCann.
Yeah.
They only have, I think, 5 hits. Is that right? Yeah. And those 3 guys have all of them. Not much has happened around them tonight.
Here's Alexi Amarista. He'll pinch hit for Buddy Black. And Freddie Gonzalez is going to pop out, and he's going to go to his bullpen. Looks like Scott Downs will indeed come in and pitch for Atlanta. His first appearance since the broken finger against the Phillies. We'll see how Scott fares with the Padres go-ahead run potentially out at second base in the 8th. And by AT&T. Game on the bases for the Padres. Runner at second, 2 outs. And we welcome Scott Downs back into live action. Jordan Walden, a rough outing tonight. He allowed a homer that tied the game.
It's been a week since Scott was out there after he got hit with that line drive. 18 games with the Braves. Great work. Better than a strikeout per inning pitch, but he's not going to face Amarista.
It'll be Logan Forsythe. A little surprising. Take away the matchups. Amarista's been one of the best Padres hitters with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. He is, however, 0 for his last 14. So it's going to be Forsythe instead. We saw Forsythe debut this season against Atlanta. And he's a career .341 hitter against the Braves in 13 career games. So Downs versus Forsythe with 2 outs. Tommy, we've gone back and looked at the tape 15-20 times and still haven't figured out how Chase Utley's liner broke Downs' finger.
You don't ever know, man. You just, I guess, catch you the right way or the wrong way, however you want to look at it.
He just knows that it hit on the back side of his glove. I don't know if it hit right on the end of the finger in the glove but maybe just on the back side of the glove where his ring finger stops.
So he's got the protective sleeve and tape on the finger. I'm sure it's not comfortable trying to catch the ball. Let's see how gingerly he catches that. No problem. 1-2 your count. Forsythe laid off. It's 2-2. When we were in San Diego, Forsythe debuted with a 445-foot homer against the Braves, his first at bat of the year. And he's going to shoot one into shallow right center field. Schaefer can't get there. Forsythe comes through with a big pinch hit, and the Padres take the lead. The 1-out walk comes home to score, and 2 runs charged to Jordan Walden in the 8th inning.
I don't know if this is what Buddy Black had in mind. Got a breaking ball here. He just kind of fought off, really. But I don't know if he preferred the Hundley against Downs matchup over the Amarista against Walden matchup. But however he concocted it, it worked out for the Padres and Bud Black.
So Forsythe continues to punish the Braves. A go-ahead hit in the 8th. And now it will be Nick Hundley. He'll stay in the game for Rivera, who was pinch hit for in this inning. So Nick Vincent, with a scoreless inning and 3 strikeouts, stands to win the game unless the Braves have an 8th or 9th inning comeback. And they've done that a lot this year, so don't count them out yet. Luke Gregerson, a veteran reliever, loosening next.
One of the best setup men in the game.
That's low. 2-1. Ground ball to third. Chris Johnson makes the play to first, and that will retire the side. Rough night so far for the Atlanta bullpen. They've allowed 4 runs. 2 of them came to the Padres in the top of the 8th. They now have their first lead of the night. It's 4-3 San Diego. Down 4-3. We head to the last of the 8th inning. And game 2 of the series comes tomorrow. Quick pit stop in Atlanta, just a 3-game homestand. And here are your Chevron upcoming starters.
Chris Medlin, who's been on fire, back out there here at home. Nice to see him here at Turner Field working the way he's been working, Tommy. It's like shades of last year against Robbie Erlin.
Yeah, he's really gotten his game back in order. And, you know, who'd have thought at the start of the year, the way things were going, not only would he have a chance to finish over 500, but a chance to win 15-plus ball games. So, you know, we want to see him obviously finish strong, keep things going into the postseason, and, you know, maybe get himself a shot to get to that 15-win season.
So, a couple of changes. First, Luke Gregerson is pitching in his 65th game for the Padres. 13 decisions out of the bullpen.
He's just one of the best setup men in the game. His last outing, he came in with runners at second and third, no out against the Phillies, and got 2 strikeouts and a fly out to finish that up. He is a slider pitcher.
Larry Anderson type fellow.
Exactly.
Ground ball foul evens the count. Joey, another Brave that hasn't gotten a lot of regular playing time with the exception of pinch hit appearances. As a result, he's in an 0 for his last 15 rut.
I'm sure he got a good schooling over there in the dugout before this at bat from, if not just the coaches, but Justin Upton, who I think probably saw him a lot out in the National League West.
2-2. Swing and a miss. Duslovich is struck out, 1 away in the Atlanta 8th.
It's a cold, chilly day in September when the bullpen has the troubles it had tonight. It's either that or Friday the 13th. I'm not sure which.
Take your pick. 5 of the last 6 Braves hitters have been struck out by the Padres, including 4 in a row. Here's Jordan Schaefer. He's walked twice and struck out once. Also 1 for 2 on the base paths. He stole a base in the first inning and was thrown out in the 5th. Need somebody to get on and somebody else to spank one here to put the Braves in front. It's 4-3 San Diego. Tried to bunt, missed it. 1-2. He held up. Even count.
Let's look at this bunt attempt 2 pitches ago. It was actually a pitch down and in, another slider, but kind of threw the bat at the ball. I mean, I think because it was biting in on him, he had to move the bat faster than he wanted to, but you can even see the bat come out of his hand. Not something you want to do when you're trying to place the ball. Not something you want to have happen, I should say.
And Schaefer is down on strikes for the 2nd time. And the Padres have struck out 5 straight Braves hitters and 6 of the last 7. Obama make the strikeout stop. Let's see if Upton can go deep again. He homered leading off the fourth. His first RBI since August 22nd. Also the last date of his last homer.
Quick short swing on that off-speed pitch. Looked like a changeup that was kind of running right back to him, but it was a quick turn.
High fly ball, shallow right. And that will retire the side. Upton made contact, but it stayed in the ballpark. And we head to the ninth inning. Padres up 4-3. A couple of times, just a brief 3-game series for Atlanta. We're back home for our final homestand against the Milwaukee Brewers September 23rd. And on the 26th through the 29th, the Phillies will be in town. It's Fan Appreciation Weekend. Don't miss all the surprises in store, including a Mystery Gate giveaway. That's on Thursday the 26th for the first 15,000 fans and other great prizes all series long. Get your tickets now for Fan Appreciation Weekend at Braves.com/tickets. Cameron Lowe is on the mound for Atlanta. His first appearance for the Braves since September 4th when he started against the New York Mets.
Need a 1-2-3 inning, or at least a scoreless inning. Give the Braves a chance in the ninth with the heart of their order coming up.
Top of the order for the Padres. Will Venable gets it started. He has an infield hit. 4 tries, and he tries to bunt and does foul. Steve Reich 1 to Will Venable. Cubs beat the Pirates 5-4. Washington beat the Phillies 6-1.
About those Cubbies.
Won 3 out of 4 against the Reds and Pirates now. Milwaukee 3-1 over Cincinnati and still batting in their half of the 7th. 1-0 Seattle over St. Louis in the 8th. And Venable bunts one down the first base line, hugging the chalk, and foul. Lowe waited until about 4 feet before the bag, and he made the right choice.
Mike Machlinsky, the home plate umpire, has that call fair or foul until the ball gets to the bag, and he was right on the heels of Will Venable as Lowe was chasing it. And he was right on top of it. Max Venable played in the big leagues and is Will's dad.
right across the shoe tops. 1-2. Boston beat the Yankees tonight. Huge game at Fenway Park. Jared Saltalamacchia hit a grand slam in that game for the Red Sox.
Wow, that was after the Yankees had come back and taken the lead.
Ground ball to second. Elliott Johnson from the outfield grass makes the play. I think Brendan Ryan hit a home run for New York in that game too. He's the light hitting shortstop that they got. They have somehow, some way patched things together in the Bronx. The Yankees started play tonight 1 game behind Tampa Bay for the second and final American League wild card.
The big Kuma still doing it for Seattle too against Wainwright and the Cardinals. 1-0 in the 8th.
Wow. Swing and a miss by Chris Denorfia. He had a sacrifice fly that plated the second of 2 runs for the Padres in the 7th. He's had a good night. He's also reached on a single and a double. Remember, the Braves have a 9-game winning streak against all National League Western clubs on the line tonight. I have to tangle with Houston Street, the closer, who was hurt when we were out in San Diego earlier this season. Back up the middle. Johnson behind the bag. Nice pick. Long throw. Got him. What a play. And a fist pump for Elliott, who ended up where the shortstop would play. What an effort.
I still contend that Dana Carvey has had a heck of a second career here. What a stretch by Freddie too. Awesome.
That's a pretty play.
Well, isn't that special? 2 outs.
It was.
Here's Jerko. Safer out.
It's a heck of a play. He's out.
Heck of a play.
You know, I wonder if Tom Hallion saw the front foot of Denorfia land in front of the bag instead of on top of it.
You don't think it hit the base?
Right.
Throw your challenge flag.
That's next year.
Oh.
Got it.
Yeah, he did.
We'll take the call. 0-2 to Jerko. He pops one up foul. That's headed for the seats. We had a good crowd tonight, as always on Friday nights. Fireworks after the game. Just one more home Friday. It's against the Phillies on the 27th. The official attendance tonight, 34,112. Swing and a miss. Cameron Lowe has a 1-2-3 top of the 9th. The big poppers are coming up for Atlanta. Freeman, Gaddis, and McCann. Houston Street is coming on for San Diego. 4-3 game. if they can do it here in the bottom of the 9th inning. We'd love to talk about that with you on Braves Live, presented by AT&T. That will follow Game 1 of our series with San Diego. If the Braves are to do those things, they're going to have to do it against a red-hot reliever. Houston Street is on, and he's the reigning National League Player of the Week after going 4 for 4 in saves last week with a 1.80 ERA.
And had a win to go with those 4 saves. Since the start of last season, this guy has the best save percentage of anybody in baseball, and that includes our Craig Kimbrell. 96.3%, 52 for 54 since the beginning of last season. Low 90s fastball, good slider, good changeup.
And when we were in San Diego, Street was at the tail end of a DL stint. He was out with a left calf strain. And as Joe mentioned, he's come back and pitched real good ball for a team that's won 66 and lost 79.
I tell you, he's had a good career. He's had stints where he's arguably the best in the game, but I'll tell you, I'm surprised to see those numbers over the last 2 years. That's as close to automatic as you're going to get.
Yeah, I didn't think he had been that good.
Well, this is the toughest save there is. Heart of the order, first place team on the road, hostile environment. We'll see how Street does, as he's got to face Freddie Freeman first. Freeman 2 hits and a run tonight in 3 at bats. First pitch swing, bouncing ball to first. 1 pitch and 1 out. He had Freeman reaching, and he retired him easily. 1 away. Evan Gattis hits. He's 0 for 3.
Who's that windup like? Is that Mike Mussina that has a little, that had that kind of ballet-like move to the side of the mound?
I didn't watch it that closely the first one. Let me watch it again.
Okay.
Fans in the Bear Cave are ready for Gattis to do something spectacular. And he tried to. Strike 1.
Yeah, somebody. I don't know if it was
It may
Mussina,
not be
but
Mussina.
yeah.
Starts in the middle of the rubber and slides all the way to the first base side. Almost loses contact with it.
0-2.
I mean, literally, his toe is right on the first base edge of the rubber. Cut by Evan.
And he waved at a ball in the left-hand batter's box. And Street gets Gattis on 3 pitches. 2 outs.
I think he got his mistake on the second pitch and missed it, and was hoping he was going to get another one, but he didn't. That is as good an 0-2 pitch as you can make right there.
Well, can Brian McCann tie it with 1 swing? He's 2 for 4 against Street in his career. Shift is on with 2 out. Change up, strike. You think change up in San Diego closer, you think Trevor Hoffman. And Street's got a good one too. Ground ball to second. Jerko's got it. And the San Diego Padres score 4 runs against the Braves bullpen and win game 1 of this series 4-3 the final. Atlanta's 9-game win streak against the West is over, and the Padres are 4-0 against Atlanta this season. We'll recap it for you from Turner